We need more psychology. We need more understanding of human nature, because the only real danger that exists is man himself. He is the great danger, and we are pitifully unaware of it. We know nothing of man, far too little. His psyche should be studied, because we are the origin of all coming evil.
In 1939, as Europe teetered on the brink of World War II, a journalist asked Carl Jung whether he thought another global conflict was inevitable. Jung's answer wasn't about armies or politics. It was about human nature. He warned that humanity's failure to confront its inner demons, its greed, its fears, its capacity for cruelty, made war not just possible but likely. And then it happened. Millions dead, cities reduced to rubble, horrors unleashed that still haunt us today. Jung's prediction wasn't the result of clairvoyance. It stemmed from his understanding of the psyche. The shadow he spoke of, our unacknowledged darker impulses, had come to life on a global scale. Now I ask you, what are the shadows of our time? What might they unleash if left unchecked? Jung's message feels personal because it is. The danger he speaks of isn't out there, it's within us, within you and me. Think about the last time you lost your temper, acted out of jealousy, or let fear dictate your decisions. Now magnify those emotions across billions of people. The wars, the environmental crises, the social divisions we see today are not random. They're reflections of our collective psyche. Let's make this personal. Imagine a crowded subway during rush hour. A stranger bumps into you and mutters something under their breath. You feel anger bubbling up. In that moment, the shadow is alive, a primal instinct to defend, retaliate, assert dominance. Perhaps you hold back, perhaps not. Now scale that up. What happens when entire nations act from this place of primal, unchecked emotion? To understand the shadow, let's revisit a historical example: Nazi Germany. Carl Jung lived through the rise of fascism, and he observed how collective shadows consumed an entire society. Jung believed the horrors of the Holocaust weren't simply the work of one evil man, they were the result of a society projecting its unacknowledged fears and desires onto scapegoats. In Jung's words, the more unconscious we are of our inner world, the more it influences us externally. In other words, what we fail to address within ourselves gets acted out in the world around us. For Germany in the 1930s, economic despair, national humiliation, and deep-seated prejudice became a toxic cocktail that allowed the shadow to take over. But this isn't just history. The shadow is alive today in subtle and not so subtle ways. Take climate change, for instance. On the surface, it's a scientific issue: greenhouse gases, rising temperatures. But dig deeper and it's clear the root cause is psychological. Our collective greed, short-term thinking, and unwillingness to sacrifice comfort for sustainability have created a crisis. Or consider social media. Platforms designed to connect us have become breeding grounds for envy, outrage, and division. Why? Because they amplify our unconscious impulses. The shadow thrives in anonymity, in the echo chambers of algorithms that feed our worst tendencies. To make Jung's ideas more relatable, let me share a story you may have heard before. A Cherokee elder is teaching his grandson about life. A fight is going on inside me, he says. It is a terrible fight between two wolves. One is evil, anger, envy, greed, arrogance. The other is good, joy, peace, love, humility. The grandson asks, which wolf will win? The elder replies, the one you feed. This story captures the essence of Jung's warning. The shadow isn't inherently evil, it's simply the part of us we neglect. By feeding it through ignorance or denial, we allow it to grow stronger. Think of the psyche as a great river, flowing with emotions, thoughts, and instincts. The shadow is the dam we build to hold back the parts of ourselves we don't want to see. But over time, cracks form, the pressure builds, and when the dam finally breaks, the floodwaters don't ask permission. They destroy everything in their path. This is why Jung emphasized the importance of confronting the shadow, not to destroy it, but to understand and integrate it. So how do we do this? How do we prevent the flood? Jung offers a roadmap. 1. Acknowledge the shadow. Begin by recognizing the parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. Are you quick to anger? Do you struggle with envy? Be honest with yourself. 2. Integrate, don't suppress. Integration means bringing the shadow into consciousness, not acting on it impulsively, but understanding it. For example, anger can be a signal that a boundary has been crossed. By understanding it, you can respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. 3. Seek dialogue. Jung believed in the power of inner dialogue, whether through dream analysis, journaling, or therapy. These practices help us uncover what lies beneath the surface. 4. Act collectively. Just as individuals have shadows, so do societies. Addressing collective shadows requires open dialogue, education, and systemic change. It's not enough to focus on individual psychology. We must also examine the systems that shape our collective behavior. Jung's words are more relevant today than ever. In a world facing existential challenges, from climate change to artificial intelligence to political polarization, our ability to confront our inner demons will determine our future. This isn't just philosophy, it's survival. Imagine if leaders made decisions based on self-awareness rather than ego. Imagine if societies worked together, acknowledging their shared shadows instead of projecting them onto the other. Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Fate isn't inevitable, it's a choice. And that choice begins with understanding ourselves, confronting our shadows, and feeding the better wolf within." So I leave you with this. What part of yourself are you ignoring? What shadow lies just beneath the surface, waiting to be seen? Because in the end, the greatest danger and the greatest hope lies within us. It's time to turn inward, to study the psyche, and to take responsibility for the world we're creating. The question isn't whether we'll face our shadows. The question is, will we do it before they consume us?